please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Donald John Trump, do solemnly swear.
I, Donald John Trump, do solemnly swear.
That I will faithfully execute.
That I will faithfully execute.
The office of President of the United States.
The office of President of the United States.
We have been given a gift by God today to usher in a new dynasty.
Now you get RFK Jr.
Don't you want a president who's going to make America healthy again?
You get Tulsi Gabbard.
Putting our country in a continual state of war.
You get Elon Musk and you get J.D. Vance.
A hell of a way to start the next 4 years.
The right-wing Avengers.
We have an army of digital soldiers.
Department of Defense under Donald Trump will achieve peace through strength.
Shut down the FBI Hoover building on day one.
The rescission of 78 Biden-era executive actions, executive orders, presidential memoranda, and others.
The golden age of America has most definitely begun.
Begin preparing the 30,000-person migrant facility at Guantanamo Bay.
They're getting the dirtbags off these streets.
There's one guy who can fix this shit, and it's Donald Trump.
What's storm, Mr. President?
You'll find out.
Thunder breaks, the ground is shaking from the weight. Voices crying in the night, but freedom burns a steady light. We hold the line, we won't let go. Through every trial, the truth will show. This is your daily dose. Open your eyes, see through the smoke, see through the lights. Rise from the silence, hear freedom's call. One voice, one people, united we stand tall.
Hearts awaken, chains undone. A new day breaks, the dawn has come. Through every battle, through the flame, our faith in God remains the same. The storm may rage, the night may fall, but hope will answer stronger than all.
This is your daily dose. Courage and fire, lifting the weak, lifting us higher. Not by the sword, but the truth we recall. Where we go on, we go on. We've seen the darkness try to reign. We felt the sorrow, we've known the pain. But every trial has forged the steel. In God we trust, His plan is real.
Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are in the world. My name is Josh, and welcome to the Red Pill Project's Daily Dose, live with you Monday through Friday. I hope everybody is doing well out there and having a fantastic start to their weekend. If you didn't notice, I am joined here by the one, the only Tammy Cuthbert-Garcia of the Naturally Inspired Radio, Naturally Inspired brand, and we're going to have some great, fantastic discussions tonight. So, typically, what we do on Friday nights is I would usually host conversations on the fringe, and with the Daily Dose, I'm moving forth with a Daily Dose, and so Jeff is holding conversation on the fringe tonight. For everybody out there, that is going to come right after this show, and there's a great guest. My buddy Nathan Waltz is coming on with Jeff Wong tonight on Conversation on the Fringe. We're going to be talking quantum health and biohacking, so it's definitely one of those shows, especially if you got all those peptide talks and discussions going on. Talk about what's going on there. It's a lot of Jack Cruz type of inspired discussion. So that's right after this show, after we end here. But I got Tammy for an hour, and there's a lot of things happening in the world. I know people are like, well, Josh, what about the news? Well, let me wrap up the news in like 2 quick minutes. Donald Trump is not going to strike Iran this weekend, and most likely won't strike Iran. He's given them an ultimatum. I've already talked about this. And so what you have is a divergence in Iran. Is you have the IRGC and the mullahs who are kind of like, no, we're not doing anything. But then you have the bureaucracy in Iran that's saying, we want to make a deal. And then you have the people who are like, you better do something or we're going to kill you all. So you have this situation. So every time that you're hearing that Donald Trump's going to strike Iran, that is just social constricted pressure that's being put on Iran and its leadership to get them in the negotiations to make a deal. So right now, nothing's going to happen in Iran this weekend. I could be wrong, but you know what? I was right about silver. You know what? I was right the other night when I sat here on the show and I said, look, guys, I can tell you all this. I can tell you what's going to happen and everything, but I want to tell you this right now. I said, take profits. And I said, I'm not a financial advisor. I can't give you financial advice, but I said, take profits. Why? Because this isn't my first rodeo. I've seen this before. Never this high in price, but it's the same thing. What goes up must come down. Supply and demand. We're talking about supply and demand. What you have is market manipulation that is coming about right now. And with market manipulation, you have geopolitical hype that is bringing the markets to direct chaos. The new Fed Reserve chair is one of the main reasons everything was skyrocketing the other day. The other is the Japanese bomb, and the other is the Chinese restrictions on exports through PLA licensing of silver. You put all three of those together, and you get this perfect Six Sigma storm that we're seeing. But the Six Sigma storm that we're seeing is manipulated. It is the big, large financial institutions that are moving the market. They are pushing assets in the gold and silver. And then they are going back and buying tech stocks because it's a great intermedium to get out of the JPY carry trade, the Japanese carry trade, the yen carry trade, and get into other legitimate assets while skyrocketing the price of gold and silvers. They make profit on the top end, and then they reinvest that back in the tech stock. So next week, what I would expect is the stock market to begin skyrocketing back up to where it was. Gold and silver will probably steady out. Probably, I'd say silver around that $76 to $86 mark. Might go down a little bit, but I think it'll be a good there. Bitcoin will probably come up into that mid-90s. I'm going to talk about that Sunday in my Crypto Mastermind. And by the way, for everybody in my Crypto Mastermind, look at Bitcoin's price. Do you remember our trading view charts? You remember where I told you 2 weeks ago where it was going to be at in 2 weeks? Yeah, there we go. I mean, when we start to look at it, is I no longer play by traditional market dynamics. I play by, okay, if I'm large financial institutions or geopolitical figures who can move the market, what am I going to do to manipulate it? Well, I'm going to do this. So I look at it in that context. So we've been right about that, which is great. And I hope that people were able to take some profits out from their silvers, allocate that into other assets to make money. We talked about this the other day, Tammy, on the show. And I was like, you're at $117 in silver. Take profits. Like, what are you doing? Like, take 75% out, leave your initial investment. And then when it drops to $60, buy back in. Like,
yeah, we've been buying our kids silver for years for Christmas. On the Advent calendar, we buy them a silver round on the Advent calendar since they got older and they, weren't impressed with the little toys and candies anymore. We started buying silver. So they've had a little lesson in that over this last few weeks because I kept telling them, look at how high your silver is. Look at how high your silver is. But they're like, no, we're holding. So I'm like, okay, hold. But that might have bought, like, my son's taking a trip here in a couple of weeks. That profit in silver might have bought his plane ticket.
Yeah. Well, I know I had a lot of people say, "Hey, Josh, I took your advice and I actually did cash out." That was great.
Oh, good.
Glad some people did. And then I told them, go buy back in.
Yeah.
like now go buy back in.
At
But
the right rate. Yeah. Yeah.
it
A lot of
ended up
people bought high. What do you think of that?
Yeah, I don't buy high. But the question is what is high? I mean, when I first had my opportunities to buy Bitcoin at $2,000 or $3,000, I thought that was high.
Oh, of
right?
course. Yeah.
So
It's all
you never know.
relative.
It's all relative. Going in with the news, 3 million plus documents on Jeffrey Epstein were released today, and the two main points about it is, number one, I don't care that Jeffrey Epstein discussed his STDs with Bill Gates. I think it's irrelevant. Why is it even part of the conversation? Why is it even trending? On the other side is there's a lot of information. A confidential FBI informant who was out there stating that Donald Trump did this and these people did this, and he's naming all these names, people that you'll never see together ever because they were together. It was just some psychopath probably talking to the NYPD, making shit up. And that's what we're seeing right now, is that this is most likely the case.
And did you see that a lot of those claims were added to the Epstein files in 2020, 2021?
Oh, exactly.
Yeah. So like that's irrelevant. But did you see the Robin Leach stuff?
Well, the Robin Leach stuff correlates with Donald Trump. They're saying, well, Robin Leach and Donald Trump were together at this party. And
but the Robin Leach report, and I don't know if this is right. Maybe because I didn't have a lot of time to vet it, but I saw a story that goes back years before that he was involved with a young girl that was killed.
Oh, I don't doubt that. There was one there's some stuff out there that's just nuts, right?
Yeah,
like mutilating babies and stuff.
Well, they're talking about snuff films and all this other stuff that I don't know if that's totally nuts, the snuff film stuff. I don't know if it is.
So what I know about Jeffrey Epstein, from what I've gathered on Jeffrey Epstein on the years I've been doing research on this, and people disagree with me on this, people hate me for saying this, is that wasn't his forte. That wasn't his thing. They were sexual deviants.
Yeah.
But they definitely weren't like baby killer, satanic stuff. Like that's just not, that was like, you have to go into like Hillary and adrenochrome and down that rabbit hole that way. But it wasn't, from what I gather, and here's the thing, is there's no evidence to substantiate it. And I know they're like, well, about the temple of Moloch. That's not the temple of Moloch. That's the temple of Poseidon. And I've covered this symbolically before on the show. So there's a lot of
Whitney Webb covers a lot of the stuff about the arms trade and the money laundering. That's what she's really been focused on that. So,
but she never made the connection though. And the connection is that, Jeffrey Epstein was at the Dalton School, got recruited into the CIA most likely around this time. There was some photos and documents that came out from Congress in the first batch of Epstein documents, and one of them was a picture with Jeffrey Epstein and a woman, and they say that her boyfriend is CIA, and this was like from 1983, and her boyfriend was Epstein, so he was CIA. He worked for Bear Stearns during that time, which he shouldn't have because he didn't have the proper education or credentials.
He didn't have the proper education or credentials for any position he held.
That's right. But what did he do is he was the intermediary between a bank known as BCCI Bank. Now, BCCI Bank was actually federally indicted in the 1990s for what? For embezzling and laundering money for drug cartels and for weapons traffickers. In the 1980s, Jeffrey Epstein, one of his main clients at Bear Stearns was a guy by the name of Aden Khashoggi. Now, do you remember back when Trump's first administration with Saudi Arabia? You remember the news journalist Khashoggi, who
I remember the name,
brutally killed on camera. They anesthetized him while he was still awake, and they cut his body up into little pieces and made him watch it when it happened. Oh yeah, so that was his uncle, Aden Khashoggi. So Aden Khashoggi was a ruthless arms dealer, multi-billionaire around the world, who basically funded both sides of armaments for Iran-Contra. And so what we have to see is if Epstein was with the intelligence agencies and he was working with arms traffickers, but he worked in the financial district, then what was he? He was a financial intermediary. How does the CIA, how does, the Mossad or MI6, how do they move money from one point to the other? How did they get their black budget money out from drug dealers and arms traffickers? Well, you have to legitimize the money so that these people can become wealthy. And then you bring that in through people like Jeffrey Epstein or George Soros, who did the same thing for MI6. You bring the money in through these intermediaries. They bring it into with legitimate investment structures, and then that interest pays out and everybody gets their cut and divvies up, and that goes into a black budget bank. So Epstein was a financial intermediary, a financial handler for the intelligence agencies. And here's the thing, is I keep on saying this, you're not going to hear this anywhere, and you're not going to find it anywhere in these documents, because that is still happening today.
Yeah, I was just going to say this sounds like a pattern that's being duplicated all over the place through NGOs and through some of this fraud that we're seeing now in California with hospice fraud. $3.5 billion in hospice fraud now is what Dr. Oz is telling us about. Like, this seems like a pattern of, these little systems that they've built in order to launder money through certain businesses and through certain, offshore type of operations. And there's always a handler involved, so it would seem.
Yep. So I just had a comment on that. So yeah, Epstein, like there's going to be a lot of bullshit that's going to come out in a lot of these Epstein files, because the Biden administration and the deep state had a long time to manufacture shit and throw it in there. This is why Donald Trump is calling it all nonsense. It's all bullshit. It's fake. But then on the other side of things, what else did we have happen today? Don Lemon got arrested. Don Lemon got arrested and he got released with no bail. And so, yay. Great. Showtime. Right? Yeah. So then we have Kevin Warsh, who is nominated as new Federal Reserve Chairman.
Yeah, now, I saw that.
Do you know who Kevin Warsh is?
I don't know anything about him. Nope.
So he is married to a woman by the name of Jane Lauder. Now, Lauder, you've heard of that, but you don't know where, because it's Estee Lauder.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
So the billionaire heiress to the cosmetic company Estee Lauder, her father and father-in-law is Ronald Lauder, the longtime friend of Donald Trump and close ally to Benjamin Netanyahu. But, we won't get into that discussion. But he's been a good close friend of Donald Trump for a long time. And so Warsh, I think, was not the best move. I would have went Judy Shelton. Judy Shelton, pro-gold, wants to go back on the gold standard, likes Bitcoin. Warsh likes Bitcoin. All pro crypto, pro stable coins, not CBDCs. He's kind of like, if you were going to pick somebody from the establishment that fits in with kind of MAGA and America First, then Warsh, I guess, is the best guy. But why are you picking establishment? You should have completely went right angle and picked somebody else.
Yeah. Estee Lauder is the big funder for the Susan G. Komen cancer nonprofit. And Estee Lauder uses phthalates and all kinds of perfumes that cause cancer. You know what I mean? So that's not good, It's like this. It's like the product feeding the solution,
Yeah. Now, do you remember the guy by the name of Vance Bolter in Minnesota? He went around, he killed the head of the House of Representatives here in Minnesota, and he was going to go around and shoot all these other people. He was an assassin.
Okay.
They had a massive manhunt underway in Minnesota for him. Remember, he gets arrested, and he had this letter that he sent to Kash Patel, and the letter was just released a few weeks ago. And in the letter, he basically says that I was trained by intelligence agencies. I was over in Africa. I got military-style training. And he goes, I've been kind of an asset for them for a long time. And Tim Waltz actually asked me to do these hits. And I said no. And then he held some compromise over my head and basically told me to do these hits. And he wanted me to kill, right? He says, Lance Bolter says he wanted me to kill Amy Klobuchar, Senator Amy Klobuchar, because he didn't feel Amy Klobuchar was going to live up to their bargain to where she was only going to serve for a few terms as senator and then give up her seat to him. She would go for governor and he would go as senator. Now, this is interesting because just today we're learning that Tim Waltz and Amy Klobuchar supposedly have an inside deal. That Tim Waltz said yesterday that he will not be running for office again, but he's governor right now. Okay. Amy Klobuchar says she's going to be running for governor. So what's going to happen is Tim Waltz, or Amy Klobuchar can step down. Tim Walz can appoint somebody himself.
Mm-hmm.
And or when Amy Klobuchar wins Minnesota, she appoints Tim Walz as senator. So this is kind of how it's going to play out. But it's exactly what Lance Bolter said, which brings a lot of truth to what he was originally talking about. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah, all this information gets leaked out. And I don't know if your audience feels this way, but I feel like, are we ever going to see any true justice here? You know, it just doesn't, like, how can that be? How can that letter be like out in public? We were going to do this. He asked me to put this hit out on these people, and nothing happens because it's all show.
Well, you know, I put it out today on X, and I said, we have a crime committed. The evidence has been shown for everyone to see. And not even a month later, he was arrested. Talking about Don Lemon, right?
Yes.
I said, yet.
It's all on camera.
Then I say, yet. There are high crimes of treason, sedition, and massive corruption that occurred. The evidence has been declassified and in some instances has been public for almost a decade. The network has been exposed, all the players revealed, and there is enough public evidence that would have caused the founding fathers to hang these people.
Yeah.
No arrest.
Yeah. And Don Lemon, you know, I think it was yesterday, he was on that crazy woman's podcast that I forget her name now. She's super left. And she's the one that is constantly saying that America has no culture. America has no defining culture. It's just a country of immigrants. And the only reason we have a country is because of everybody else's culture. She's completely bat, you know, she's crazy.
Yeah.
But he was on there and, you know, he said something. He said, you know, America, why are they picking me as the poster boy for this issue? You know, so much going on in Minnesota and I'm the poster boy, you know, poor me, poor Don Lemon. And he said, I'm a Christian and, you know, America's not a Christian nation. It's freedom of religion. And so I've covered this before on my show, and it's true. America is not a Christian nation. But this is the point that everyone needs to realize is that the citizenry shapes culture here. And the citizenry shaped culture for it to be a Christian nation because there was so many of us that were Christians. And that's where we've lost a little bit of our power is we've allowed people to beat us down. And we've somehow feel like we have to step aside for other people. And so he makes a good point. He's right. It is a nation built on freedom of religion. But in the past, historically, it has been a Christian nation because the citizenry shapes culture here. And that's why all the more reason that we need to stand up and claim our culture. It is a Christian nation if we shape it that way. But if we allow other people to claim it, if we step aside and we allowed other people to claim it because we're, you know, feeling ashamed of white privilege or whatever it is that that's being weaponized against us, then we are at risk to losing it to another religion. So, you know, of course he's playing the victim. Oh, they're making me the poster boy because I'm a black gay man. Shut up already. Just shut up. Oh my gosh. It's just sickening. Like, is anybody buying this anymore? Because I'm not. I mean, this whole victim mentality is, oh, I'm being targeted because I'm a black gay male. Okay. You walked into a private service and shoved your microphone into people's faces and scared the crap out of them and, you know, incited chaos inside of their private establishment. So it's just ridiculous. It's just ridiculous. But again, what's everybody looking at? We're all looking at that because that's the major thing. Meanwhile, there's a lot of things happening behind the scenes, like in health, Josh. There's a lot of cybernetic advancements. Have you seen...
Cybernetic. That's
Yes.
interesting. I actually had that word going through my head today. And because I just wrote this article on X called the 500-year leap. And it's something that we've been talking about, right? We're going to do a 500-year leap. And then I started like kind of thinking about technological evolution, and cybernetics is actually that cross between. So you get robotics and then you get AI and then you get robotics reborn and then you get ASI and then you get the convergence of that and kind of the biological function, right? So biosynth, if you want to look at it. It's scary, isn't it?
Well, yeah. I mean, some of it is for sure. We've got two things going on in health right now when it comes to technology. We have the cybernetic advancements. So, Elon is developing blind sight, which is he's helping people see. I mean, people that have never seen before will be able to see with his new technology. Of course, we have exoskeletons. We have all this type of kind of cybernetic advancements. But then we have cellular reprogramming too, which is basically like, reprogramming human cells. So kind of two things going on. But it is a little weird, Josh. It's a little weird out there. Let me tell you, it's a little bit weird. We all need to be aware of this stuff as it's coming down, though, and we're not most of the time because of Don Lemon and Epstein files, and there's just so much in the news stream that it's hard to stay focused on some of this stuff. But this is the stuff, the AI advancements, the cybernetic advancements, cellular reprogramming. This is going to make a huge impact on us, on our culture. And, it's why I always talk about developing higher faculties. So check this out. They now have technology available where, so paraplegics, quadriplegics, they're wearing headpieces, and they are able to drive their video game avatar on the screen with their brainwaves. Okay?
Yeah.
Okay. So everybody get your mind wrapped around that, right? This is proof that we're electrical beings that can focus frequency. Okay? You're doing it on screen through a digital loop, right? They're doing it. So this is going to be like the Roger Bannister moment. I feel like, all of a sudden people are directing their frequency and their thoughts, and they're able to impact reality. Guess what? You don't need a digital interface.
So I coined the term the Bannister effect many, many, many years ago. And you are spot on right, because I look at this in the context of it's adaptive environmental evolution, right? Is you begin seeing things. So not us, but the younger generations, the infants begin watching, and they see, daddy over there moving, just sitting there and playing a video game, and it's all happening. And eventually the biology will begin to adapt because it looks at the environment through epigenetic control signals. And it says, hey, I need this in the context of survival biologically, because this is where we are headed as a civilization. And so it'll begin to formulate how to do that. So you're absolutely right. And I think that we are going to get to a point of something that we talked about many months ago, to where you're going to have this divergence of civilization, where you're going to have bioevolution and then biosynth evolution, or the what do they call it? The transhumanist evolution, which is a convergence with artificial intelligence and technology, and then the biological evolution will be behind the scenes, be very slow in comparison. Then all of a sudden, we'll catch up and surpass.
I think we're going to surpass. I think I think that we have been conditioned to not understand our capabilities. I think from fear, from worry, from doubt, it's like this little experiment. And anybody can do this, right? If you're in a room, okay, close your eyes, then open your eyes, give yourself 30 seconds to find in the room everything red. Red, 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 right? You start to see all these things that are red. But if you do that same thing and you focus on brown, find all the brown, all the brown, all the brown, right? You get what you focus on. So you'll see more red things when you're focused on red than you would when you're focused on brown, right?
Reticular activating system.
Yeah. But that's what we need to apply in our everyday lives. So if we walk around feeling defeated, victimized, upset, angry, we have a home emotion like anger, then every time we come into contact with things, that's what we're experiencing. Whereas if we are programmed, I say that in quotations, to experience positive stuff, like positive interactions, we feel happy, we feel joy, we feel excited in anticipation that good things are happening to us. That's what our experience is. So, but I know that sounds like woo-woo to a lot of people, but listen, think about the person who is directing their video games right now with their brainwaves. Mm-hmm. If they think they're going to crash, they're going to crash.
Right.
Because that's where their mind is going, right? It's that, it's the law of attraction. This is actually science. It's higher level thinking science. And that's why I'm always talking about these higher faculties that we need to develop, because we've just not been conditioned to think this way. It seems frou-frou. It seems like, oh, that's just that, like all that, personal development hype, motivational type of stuff. It's not, people. This is real science. Like we are electrical beings. We have frequency. Everything in our environment has frequency, and we can learn how to tap into frequency to get good results, or we can tap into lower frequency and get bad results. And that is huge when it comes to your health. It is huge when it comes to your health. Listen, we have studies that tell people, the more you worry about your health. So if you're worried about getting cancer, say you've been told your whole life, you're going to get cancer because, your mom had cancer, your aunt had cancer, breast cancer runs in your family. You're more likely to get breast cancer than somebody who has the same genetics of you, but isn't aware of their history, their ancestry of cancer.
Right.
Because you bring on what you're focused on. It's a huge lesson, hard lesson to be learned, but I think that it's coming forth with this development of AI, because AI is predictable. It runs that way. So it's almost like it's modeling, and I think they're a little bit worried about us discovering our own ability. These globalists, these people that want to control and shape society and, control our culture ultimately for their own agenda, for their own outcomes. I think they realize that AI, because what is AI if it's not a mimic of humans? It's programmed by us, you guys.
Right.
It's a synthetic version of us, essentially, collectively. So I think they're a little bit worried that it's going to reveal the power of biology that we're just not tapping into on a regular basis.
You make a good point. And one interesting aspect of this as well is that this was the reason why they were going for a completely locked down. Number one, depopulation agenda.
Yeah.
95% of the world population gone. Number two, 15-minute controlled digital cities. Number three is, social credit systems. Basically AI, nanny state, technological nanny state. The reason they did that was because of this, because they wanted everything under their control. They wanted to be in charge of it. Now, one of the problems that I have with AI is that you and I, unless we go out there and create our own AI company, will most likely never, ever get to utilize the real AI, the real stuff that they are developing.
Just like the internet, right? The most of us do function on the surface of the internet, but there's all this other stuff underneath that we don't ever see.
Yeah. Well, there's massive amounts of resources. Just right now, the energy consumption being utilized by artificial intelligence is enormous.
I know it.
And when I was researching for the 500-year leap, and I didn't really put any footnotes or anything like that in there. I'm more of an idea writer. I kind of like a futurist. I look at things and I kind of project out of what I see. But the interesting part that I want people to understand about this is that for the last 5,000 years of civilization, humanity has progressed linear, very linear. As in, we invent something that's got to get adopted throughout society. And once it's adopted throughout society, someone says, hey, I want to make this better. And then it takes generations for that betterment to actually be installed within it. And you stepstone off of that, and this is your linear progression. And so we are on this linear progression upwards. And now what's happening, and this is the cool, crazy thing, is I want everybody to imagine every single word that has been written by humanity over the last 5,000 years that is preserved right now, that is online on the internet, every single scientific paper, every single bit of evidence from experimentation of science, of biology, of chemistry, of physics, every single recording of data ever done. Imagine putting that together into an AI system that can now look at all of those things and trillions upon trillions of points a second in the context of interlapping that data. Chemistry and biology. We can now look at chemistry and biology and pinpoint research that was done 60 years ago here and biological research that was done 10 years ago here. We can find cross-correlatory factors that that make new scientific discoveries. We can go into physics research, CERN data, laboratory data. For the last 30 years, the AI can go in there and it can go, hey, did you guys know that every time that you smash this type of proton into the collider, you actually had this small deviation of energy that was right here and it's traced right here, but you guys didn't catch it because you don't understand. And it cross correlates it and says, oh, wow, we got 6 new fundamental forces to science. And like, this is the type of shit that's about to happen. And Donald Trump, they know this. They actually predicted it. And this is why they created the Genesis mission, 30,000 scientists coming in with the most powerful freaking AI in the world to do exactly this. And so I want people to see that not only does it begin to progress us exponentially, but AI's capacity to learn exponentially increases as well.
That's the danger. The danger is going to of it surpassing us.
Well, I agree, and this is
and I mean, Elon Musk has said point blank, this is why he's focused on cybernetic advancements, because he thinks that's the only way we're going to be able to compete.
Well, that's what what's his name on Moonshots was actually talking about. He said that, hey, I talked to some of the biggest tech CEOs in the world, and I asked them all the same question: is what happens when AI gets too smart? And they say that's going to happen at some point in time, and that's what we're afraid of. But that's why the first thing that we're working on is biogenetics, because they want to modulate their DNA to be able to integrate directly with artificial intelligence. And it was interesting. I was having a conversation with ChatGPT the other day, and I asked it. And I said, how do we as human beings, when AI begins to get to that point to where it's beyond our comprehension, where what it's putting out is understood by AI, but gibberish to humanity, where we're mere ants in the face of giants, how do we make sure that that progression actually stays uniform? And AI said, well, there's going to be a point where humanity, biology, and AI will converge.
Yeah. I mean, I study this stuff all the time. I mean, I've studied, they actually look to plants, Josh. A lot of times these guys, like on moonshots and whatnot, these guys are, and Jeff Bezos is, dumped a whole bunch of money into cellular reprogramming as well. And they look at plants. And they study plants to see how plants regenerate and how plants are able to keep from aging and oxidizing and stuff. So that's like one of my favorite products that I have in my product line is polyphenols. And they study these longevity guys that are so invested. They're dumping billions into cellular reprogramming. And this is the model they're looking at. Part of it is polyphenols and how this happens so they can duplicate it. And it's like a backwards Benjamin Button thing is what they're doing. Really, seriously, because they don't want it to go all the way back to like literally Benjamin Button. This is what David Sinclair is studying in his laboratory. Have you heard of him? He's a longevity expert. Yeah, you know about him. Sinclair, yeah. So that's what he's studying right now, is how to kind of shut it off. Because in monkeys, it's taking the cells all the way back to infant style.
So yeah, the last time I heard him on a podcast, he was saying that they've got it under control. So for anybody out there, they work with various different senescent and these types of cells. But what they're able to do right now, and it's kind of gross how they do it, So they're taking embryonic stem cells, and so what they do is they will take your DNA and they will produce an embryonic clone of you, and then they'll pull the embryonic stem cells out, and then they will put them into, I guess, an mRNA or some type of formula, and they'll inject it into you. Now, this is only on animal studies right now.
Yeah, monkeys.
And then in the animal studies, what's happening is they will take an elderly monkey who's equivalent human age of 80, and they will turn them down to 20. And what I mean is, not only does that monkey kind of now internally live at 20 years of age, it looks 20 years of age. And here's the thing is then it lives its rest of its life, and there's no side effects, and they can do it again. Another 10 years, they pull it back to 20. Another 10 years, they pull it back to 20. They can do this over and over and over again. The problem that they had with David Sinclair was, you're right, they didn't know how to turn it off. They didn't know how to set it. The last podcast I saw 3 weeks ago with David Sinclair, he said that we finally learned how to control it. You want 5 years? We can give you 5 years. You want 10 years? We can give you 10 years. And this is the crazy part. Human test trials begin next year.
Wow. See, I hadn't heard that. At the last I heard from him, they were working on it, but he's a little slippery. I don't fully trust David Sinclair. He seems a little slippery. This is what I find with a lot of these tech guys, Josh, is that they are so compartmentalized in their thinking. They have dedicated 20, 30, 40 years of their lives, some even more, Ray Kurzweil even more, in trying to solve death. This is their life's work. And what I find happens with people like that is they don't tend to consider the other outcomes of it because they're so compartmentalized. And that's kind of my take on David Sinclair. I'm like, dude, this is like a character in a movie that is like so like fixated on this.
You know, I've said this before. It was actually David Sinclair who said this. He said, this was about a decade ago. When I first started listening to David Sinclair, he was on all the different health podcasts. And, but he said this back then, 10 years ago. He said, if you're alive in the next 10 years, your life will most likely be extended 50 years plus your normal lifespan. Then he said, but if you're alive in that next 50 years, your life will probably be extended another 200 years. And then he said, if if you live to that next 200 years, life will be extended indefinitely.
Yeah.
And that's kind of crazy because, you know, now you start thinking about tyrannical authoritarian control structures. And the problem with this, and this was actually one of my biggest thoughts on kind of the Klaus Schwab, Bill Gates types for depopulation. The reason they wanted to go about with all this was because they figured this out. They knew that we were going to have artificial intelligence within the next 2 decades, and this would rise up to ASI, and then they would solve aging. And if they solve the aging, now you have a crisis that occurs. What's the crisis? You're going to have people living 200, 300, 400 years, but then you're still reproducing. Now you start to get into real overpopulation. And this was why they started with the overpopulation bit when it really wasn't overpopulated prior to this.
Well, because they've been working on living forever this entire time. That's one of the fundamentals of the cult. That's that they want to be God, right? They want to crack the code of God and cure dying. They see it as their ability to, conquer God, I feel like, because if they solve death, they don't want to die, and nobody wants to die, but everybody kind of accepts that this is part of life. And if you have faith, I think one of the worst things you could probably wish for is to live forever.
Well, but also take in the context that the majority of those people that want that are atheists.
Yeah. Yeah.
They lack God and creation and an understanding.
Or they're Satanists and they worship the other side because that's the dark side, what the dark side does. Like Satan can't create, right? They corrupt. They take what God has created and they corrupt it. That would be the ultimate corruption, is to cure death on this earthly plane. That would be the ultimate F you to God is to stop life as we know it.
That's a great point. Wow. That's
and everybody taps into that this is a spiritual war. We all feel that. Even people that aren't, particularly religious, they feel, but they're, good people. They just still feel that something is not right here with all of this motivation to mass surveil, to enslave man. Like, have you seen the electricity bills that are coming out now? Like, we all have to absorb these enormous electricity bills that are, I think the latest one was in Virginia, from a $200 bill to now a $600 bill, all because they're trying to get more infrastructure in to be able to facilitate the needs for the digital revolution, right? The AI, the higher energy needs that we all need to be able to facilitate AI and the digital revolution. But we're the people that are going to fund it. We're going to fund it. And $600. Can you imagine? Like, a family that's used to having a 200, like this lady was crying, the video I saw, and I've seen several of these now, because that's more than her car payment.
Yeah.
She's used to like a $200 bill at a high month, and it came in at over $600.
If
these things are supposed to be helping us, is my point, right?
The private world's going
taking
to do
us.
that. Firstly, if we are going to help build out the infrastructure by paying for the energy, then we need to get free access directly to artificial intelligence. And I'm not meaning the stuff that you go through on the app. I mean that now we want ownership. If I'm paying, $600 electric bills, and that's the energy that's feeding into the AI, then I want shares in that company coming back to me as retribution for this. But
sure, dude, this is what they do with the medical model, though. We fund NIH research with our tax-paying dollars. And then those researchers get royalties off of their discoveries privately for the rest of their lives. Why are those royalties not coming back to the American people? It's the same thing. They're going to use us again. They're going to use us again. We're going to fund the AI. We're going to fund the digital revolution. And then what? We're going to be slaves to the digital revolution? I hope not. I hope that Trump is working in our favor in this regard. And maybe that's why, the sovereign wealth fund and things like that are being built into the infrastructure. But like, how many families can afford for their electric bill to be tripled while they figure this out? Because people will lose their homes.
I need you to send me an email or a text message on the healthcare royalties and all of that stuff.
Oh, sure.
So there's something in the mix right now that I'm kind of privy to. I can't talk about it much, but let's just say that there might be a group of people that are going to get represented, that will represent kind of the voice to the president.
Cool.
Okay? Which means that, hey, look, this is what we're seeing. These are the problems. This is what's going on. And this is a huge one. And this stuff needs to be taken care of. But if the government's going to allow that to happen, then we need to be able to completely untie ourselves from the grid. That I need to be able to say, hey, you know what, then? I'm going to go out there and I'm going to put a 100-gallon propane tank in, and that's going to take care of my gas. I'm going to go out there and I'm going to, buy a small micronuclear reactor or a fusion reactor that, who knows when they're going to be available, but I'm going to do that, and I'm not going to grid tie it. I'm going to have
Dude, somebody just got arrested in Washington for his water barrels because that's illegal, right? You cannot harvest your own water. You can't collect your own water on your own land. Right. So that is something I think, that like we're the ones that are building out the infrastructure ultimately, because we're working, we're paying taxes, we're shouldering the burden. It's one thing to pay for electricity. By the way, keep an eye on your bills because they're padding it in on a delivery charge. So it's not even for the electricity itself. It's being titled under a delivery charge. Now, I don't know if you saw in Oxford, Oxford's moving forward with their C40 city, and they're putting caps on how far you can drive, how many days a year you can drive, how much beef in Oxford in the UK.
Oh, well, that's why we don't live in Europe.
Yes. But that we're seeing it try to get pushed.
Yeah.
Yes. Their fees in Canada for their carbon tax and stuff, like it's like $27 for natural gas to heat a 1,200 square foot home or something like that over there. And then they've got like $150 carbon tax fee, and then this other fee, and then it's insane. So we as consumers need to rally together because it's starting to happen. It's happening in Massachusetts. It's happening in Virginia. It's happening now in our states. So, I don't want anybody to be surprised when this, whopper bill shows up, because you may be able to cover that for a couple months. But most people have budgets. We're not all, billionaires that can afford a six times increase in your electric bill. Like that'll put you out of your house pretty quickly. Yeah. You may be able to hang on to that for 6-7 months, and then you're going to start getting into some serious deep water unless you get another job or get another source of income. And that's not really on the docket for most of us, hopefully.
Jeez.
Yeah. Can you imagine getting a $1,200 bill?
It's mind blowing even to start thinking about these things. Like, yeah, this is what I'm saying is we need to have a digital bill of rights. We need to have these types of rights preserved to where if we are actually paying for this infrastructure, then we are getting dividends back from that infrastructure.
Yeah.
No more freeloading. And
that's right.
And I think that this is one of the other main reasons why the Trump administration is cracking down so much on illegal immigration. And basically, hey, you don't want to be here? We'll help you leave this country. Even if you are an American citizen, we will need to denaturalize you and get the fuck out of here, right? Because at the end of the day, they want to save every single penny they can from the government, reduce government spending as much as humanly possible, because this is going to be a massive undertaking to kind of transform the world in where it's heading.
Well, one of the ways we can do that is tackling the healthcare system, right? That's a huge cost to us. We have, 76%.
Bullshit. Fucking bullshit.
So let's fund prevention. Let's help people actually connect to real solutions for health that are long-term solutions, not just Band-Aids through pharma. That's my concern. We haven't really gotten all the details on the health deal yet. I know we're going to be getting a health savings account, but are they going to restrict where we can spend those dollars? That's a huge thing, because the solution that they will allow us to fund, that's not a solution. That's not a solution. That is a disease management system. We want to get to root cause. In order to get to root cause, we have to look at lifestyle. We need education for lifestyle. We understand, metabolic health, how our metabolic health works, how we're moving our bodies, stress management, trauma, these higher faculties that we've discussed tonight. These are things that need to get introduced to people in terms of prevention when it comes to their health. People don't know how, they don't know any other way to treat their health other than the established healthcare system. Mm-hmm. And those aren't real solutions. Those are Band-Aids.
A monopoly. It's a monopoly.
It's totally a monopoly. It's totally a monopoly.
It's not a monopoly. There's like 6 different healthcare companies. Oh, really? Well, who are the top 3 shareholders of every single one of those 6?
It's BlackRock.
Healthcare. Yeah, BlackRock, State Street, and Vanguard. And then, this is my problem. So I don't know if I mentioned this before, but my daughter, back in July, I didn't have insurance. Mm-hmm. And my daughter had to go to the doctor, and she had Impegagro or whatever it is, had to go. Yeah. So, she also had to get a school physical. So she had to go to 2 different physicals. Number one is she had to go get a wrestling sports physical, but then she also had to do her 12-year checkup. And I'm like, hey, can you just fill out her sports physical at the 12-year checkup? It's like the same thing. They're like, no. Like, no, separate appointments. So I do the one appointment, right? And they cancel the first one. They reschedule it. I go in there, and we're in the sports physical. And I'm like, hey, she's got this. And they're like, oh, okay, well, we'll just prescribe this. And I'm like, okay, great. So, have the next appointment coming up for the 12-year checkup. And they're like, oh, how is that doing? And they start to look at it and like, oh okay.
Another code.
So I'm like, oh, okay, cool. And so Then I get a $700 bill for 2 office visits. And I'm like, I'm not paying this. What is this for? And they're like, well, she was seen for emergency care. She was seen for this health and psychological evaluation. She was seen here for a sports physical and then emergency care. And I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? I didn't ask the doctor to look at anything. The doctor automatically did that on that one. I didn't ask for anything. I didn't.
Oh, that's how they do it. That's how they do it. It's all a different code.
Yeah. Well, I said, can you give me the uninsured cost? They said there is no difference.
Oh, that's not true.
They told me, nope, we charge the same no matter whether it's insurance or not. You're always going to pay the same.
Oh, that's illegal because they have to offer you a cash pay. But maybe because they knew that you were already insured. If they knew you were already so then they have to offer you a cash pay.
So if there's information on that, send it to me because I'm dealing with them right now.
Yeah.
But
that was Biden that put that in.
Yeah, but it's the system is corrupt.
Gosh, it 6 ways from Sunday, Josh. I mean, you can't even count the ways of how it's corrupt.
So my friend who works for a city out here, I talked about it, her and her daughter, right? Pay for health insurance for her and her daughter. She has to pay her. So the city she works in pays the majority of it, but she has to pay about $900 a paycheck into health insurance.
Yeah.
It's $1,800. Then the city pays another $1,800, $3,600 a month.
Yeah, I'm not surprised.
For 2 people. And
drop it.
And then I said, you know what? It's not your health insurance you're paying for. It's theirs. It is the sanctuary cities. It is the illegal immigrants. It is the people on the welfare state. This is communism. This is the social health care system of what they're talking about. These people don't pay. They get free health care. And guess what? You pay triple.
Yeah. And Luigi Mangione, did you hear that he was like acquitted off of the death penalty charge today as well? So he's the guy that killed the CEO of the United Healthcare in the street in New York, I believe. So he's not going to get the death penalty. That whole thing's going to get swept under the rug. Listen, if you watch The Sopranos, just think about what happens in The Sopranos, right? When they send somebody out to do a job. I'm telling you, we're dealing with gangsters here. You will understand so much more about the way the world works. Not your audience. Your audience is already on to everything. But I'm like, if you're talking to a normie, you're like, just think about how Tony Soprano would handle it. And that is how things go down in the corporate world in our country. I mean, it's just that story is going to just nicely just get tucked underneath the rug somewhere and it's going to disappear and nobody will. I don't know what that guy, I don't know what the CEO of United Health was doing, taking a different way, to not obeying orders. I'm not sure what the heck was going on there, but it's not, it's going to get swept away.
Well, that's going to be really interesting. And did you hear about this Minnesota guy who pretended to be an FBI agent to try to get him out of jail?
No. I missed that one.
Some FBI agent kind of like had false credentials and all this stuff and like went to the jail to get him out and he got caught and this is crazy.
I did not hear that.
Yeah.
Oh, he's an operative.
Guaranteed.
Yeah.
But
there was no signs. I mean, there's I don't know if you know who John Taylor Gatto is, but he was an ex-school teacher and he's written several books on education and what the education system actually is in our country. It's a sorting system. So it's a way for them, the talented and gifted program, it's a way for them to kind of pinpoint certain personality types, which kids are going to be, the up and coming people that they can actually use in these programs. And that's what I think Luigi was, because when
I don't doubt it.
Yeah. And same with, some of the Charlie Kirk shooter and probably the Trump attempted assassination guy. They're probably all into that program at some point. Selected.
I wouldn't doubt it at all. That's crazy. I'm looking at my Rumble studio and a bunch of stuff just disappeared, and I'm kind of pissed off because these guys. Anyways, let me see here. I want people to know about redpillhealth.info. Can you tell them about it?
Yes. So redpillhealth.info is a place that we set up specifically for the Red Pill Project audience. This is a product, it's a polyphenol, like I talked about earlier, and it is awesome for inflammation. It helps support your mitochondria, and it's a great way to get into the naturally inspired community. So we do a Tuesday night weekly wellness workshop for every single one of our customers can participate in that, and ongoing support on my health text line, and so much more available. So all you have to do is go to redpillhealth.info, redpillhealth.info. Like I said, you make a purchase with us and you get into the naturally inspired community. So if you're looking for support on your optimum health journey, this is it. And it is time. Oh my goodness. I cannot stress that enough. I feel for people who are stuck in the medical system, who are stuck there, and they feel like all they can do is take these prescription medications. All I can do is continue to do what my doctors tell me to do. And I'm telling you, there are solutions outside of it. I get emails and texts every single day about people improving. They're improving not only their physical health by losing weight, by losing 5 pounds, and their blood pressure is coming down. They're going back to their doctor and they're saying, I've lost 5 pounds. They're tightering off of their medications. They're getting more mobile. They're making an impact in their community. One of our community members has completely changed her workplace because she took leadership role and said, I'm not doing donuts. I'm not doing pizza. I'm not doing this stuff inside my office anymore. Instead, we're starting a walking club. And this is the way I'm eating. She's a total role model in her community now. That's what we need to be able to shape culture around health in the country. A sickly, chronically ill country, citizenry, is one that is can be easily forced to comply, easily forced into the funnel of the globalist agenda. Because when you're tied to these pharmaceuticals, when you're tied to the hospital system because you don't know how to curate better health in your own body, you're gonna fall prey to it. So now is the time, and the best way to do it is to get started on these polyphenols. Like I talked about, they restore mitochondria, they eat up, they're like little Pac-Mans. They eat up inflammation in your body. So many people in this community are already taking them. They're telling me, I feel better. I have more energy. I'm sleeping better. I don't feel the afternoon crash after I eat in the afternoon. My inflammation is down. Some people have lost weight. Even people that are going through menopause, women who are going through menopause, this is helping because it helps with insulin resistance. And as we lose muscle mass, we start to be more susceptible to insulin resistance. That creates those hot flashes up and down. So you want to go high protein, as I always talk about, but also flood your body with these polyphenols. You'll be so glad that you did. So visit us at redpillhealth.info.
That's right. And give Tammy
free shipping. Free shipping.
There you go. And free shipping.
I am covering your shipping only for this audience. So take advantage of that.
And then follow Tammy over there on X as well, Tammy Cuthbert G as well. Just text her. Yes. And she'll send you all this information, 720-303-8868. Go give her a follow and a text, guys, and visit redpillhealth.info. All right, guys, we have the Dream Team coming up next. Nathan and Jeff Wong on Conversation on the Fringe. So I hope you stick around and watch that show. It's going to be on quantum health and biohacking. So a lot of Dr. Cruz stuff going to be discussed there. So that should be pretty darn good. I am out of here for the next few days, but we will see you guys back here Sunday night with Q After Hours. And I wanted to go in here real quick. I got to pull this guy up. No, that's not what I want. I gotta move things around, pull this up, get my my video up. So much love, respect, guys. God bless. Don't forget to go follow Tammy over there at redpillhealth.info. Tammy, thank you so much. We're gonna see you next week. We're actually gonna see you twice next week. So we'll see you next week. Guys, much love, respect. God bless. Take care. Have a great night. And we will see you guys next time. I'm going to leave you with some Guardians of Truth. Take care, guys. Good night.
There was a time when our children stood tall, hand on their hearts, one voice for all. There was a time when honor had weight, when the flag was a symbol, not a debate. There was a time when our history was known, with pride in the rules that made us our own. There was a time, respect for the brave, for those who bled, for the lives they gave. Now the homeland burns in silent war. Truth is twisted, we can't ignore. Voice still calls, we the people will not fall. There was a time, but the time isn't near. The great awakening is here. Dark to light, veil under, patriots rise. We are one, land of the free, home of the brave. No more silence, no more slaves. Answer the call, take back the fight. Children of freedom, stand for the light. There was a time when truth was clear, when the media served, not ruled by fear. There was a time when leaders stood fast, guarding the people, defending the past. Now corruption wears a crown, lies are fed to tear us down. But Q said watch, and Q said see. The silent war will set us free. From the front lines, soldiers stare, wondering if we're still there. Their blood, their hope, their sacrifice will not be sold for a last prize. There was a time, but the time isn't near. The great awakening is here. Dark to light, the veil undone, patriots rise. We are one, land of the free, home of the brave. No more silence, no more slaves. Answer the call, take back the fight. Children of freedom, stand for the light.
Freedom is never more than one generation away from extinction. It must be fought for, protected, and handed on. Or we will spend our sunset years telling our children what it was once like in the United States where men were free.
There was a time, the time is near. The great awakening is here. Dark to light, veil undone, patriots rise. We are one. know the light. There was a time. There was a time. Now is the time. Do it.
I don't have to tell you things are bad. Everybody knows things are bad. The air is unfit to breathe, and our food is unfit to eat. I don't know what to do about the depression and the inflation. I want you to get mad.
I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass. And I'm all out of bubblegum.
People should not be afraid of their governments. Governments should be afraid of their people.
The more you fuck around, the more you're going to find out.
These people are still a part of that system, and that makes them our enemy.
We accept the reality of the world with which we're presented. It's as simple as that.
I want you to get up right now and go to the window, open it, and stick your head out and yell, "I'm as mad as hell, and I'm not going to take this anymore!"